Most people think half an acre is just enough space for a nice lawn and maybe a vegetable garden. But what if I told you that half an acre with just 6 chickens can produce enough food to make you completely self-sufficient? That's not an exaggeration. Small-scale integrated systems consistently outperform industrial agriculture on a per-acre basis by massive margins. USDA data shows farms under 5 acres generate dollar outputs that industrial operations can't match when you account for inputs versus outputs. The secret isn't buying more animals or working yourself to death. It's designing a system where 6 chickens become the engine that powers everything else. Eggs, meat, fertilizer, pest control, and soil regeneration, all from 6 birds managed the right way on half an acre. But here's what nobody tells you. Most people set up their chickens completely wrong. They treat them like pets instead of the biological workforce they actually are. And because of that, they miss 80% of what those birds can do for a self-sufficient property. So I'm going to walk you through exactly how 6 chickens on half an acre become the foundation of complete food independence. I'll give you the real numbers, the exact setup, the mistakes that destroy most systems before they even start, and the 4 additional elements that turn those 6 birds into a closed-loop food production system that requires almost nothing from the outside world. Before we talk about which chickens to get or where to put them, we need to talk about the one thing that makes everything else cheaper, faster, and more productive. And it's not another animal. It's a system for turning your waste into premium chicken feed for free. Black soldier fly larvae. Now, before you click away thinking this is too weird or too complicated, hear me out. These aren't houseflies. Black soldier fly adults don't have working mouths. They can't bite. They don't carry disease. They actually repel regular houseflies from your property. What they do is lay eggs in organic waste, your kitchen scraps, your garden trimmings, even the chicken manure itself. Those eggs hatch into larvae that are basically living protein factories. We're talking 40 to 50% crude protein, the same as soybean meal and fish meal. They also carry 50 times more calcium per gram than mealworms. Here's what the setup looks like. You need a bin system that takes up about 2 to 4 square feet. That's it. A modest bin processes 8 to 12 pounds of waste per day. You can build one yourself for $30 to $75 using plastic totes and some PVC pipe. Or buy a commercial unit for under $200. Start with a few hundred purchased larvae online. Costs you $6 to maybe $28. Or if you're in USDA Zone 7 or warmer, wild black soldier flies will colonize your bin on their own within weeks. The larvae reach harvest size in 10 to 14 days. And here's the brilliant part. When they're ready to pupate, they instinctively crawl up a ramp and drop into a collection bucket. The system literally harvests itself. What does this save you? An Australian broiler study showed that replacing just 15% of chicken feed with black soldier fly larvae cut feed costs by 19%. Experienced homesteaders report offsetting a third or more of their total feed bill. On a half-acre system with 6 chickens, that adds up to hundreds of dollars a year in savings. Keep the bin between 70 and 90 degrees Fahrenheit. Humidity around 60 to 70%. Too wet, and it goes anaerobic. You'll know because it stinks. Too dry and larvae grow slow. The biggest mistakes? Putting bins in direct sun. Anything above 113 degrees kills the colony. Overfeeding so waste piles up faster than larvae can eat it. And trying to breed them indoors without enough UV light for the adults to mate. And here's something most people don't realize. The frass, that's the leftover material after the larvae finish processing your waste, is some of the richest fertilizer you can get. It has an NPK ratio of roughly 4:2 with beneficial microbes that supercharge plant growth. One bin processing 8 pounds of waste daily produces about 4 to 6 pounds of larvae per week and roughly 10 to 15 pounds of frass per month. You're creating a loop where kitchen waste becomes larvae. Larvae become chicken feed, and the byproduct becomes garden fertilizer. Nothing is wasted. Everything feeds something else. Now let's talk about the chickens themselves. 6 birds, not 50, not 25. 6 is the magic number for half an acre when you're building a self-sufficient system. But they need to be the right 6 birds. Heritage dual-purpose breeds, not commercial hybrids that burn out after 18 months. You want Rhode Island Reds, Australorps, Plymouth Rocks, or Buff Orpingtons. These breeds lay 200 to 280 eggs per year, and they keep laying for 3 to 5 years. A heritage hen producing 250 eggs a year for 4 years gives you 1,000 lifetime eggs. A commercial hybrid maxes out at 500 to 600, and then you're replacing her. 6 heritage hens at 250 eggs each equals 1,500 eggs per year. That's more than 4 eggs per day every single day. For a family of 4, that's complete egg self-sufficiency with surplus to preserve or trade. Now here's where most people go wrong. They build a stationary coop, let the chickens free-range randomly, and within 6 months the yard is trashed and the soil is depleted. You need a chicken tractor, a bottomless mobile coop, typically 4 by 8 or 6 by 12 feet. Move it every single day. The birds scratch up pests, eat weed seeds, aerate the soil, and leave behind a perfect layer of nitrogen-rich manure. Each hen drops about 100 to 130 pounds of manure per year. 6 hens equal 600 to 780 pounds of nitrogen spread strategically across your half acre. That's not waste. That's your fertilizer system. Every morning you move the tractor about 10 feet. Takes less than 5 minutes. The chickens spend the day working that fresh patch of ground. They eat grasshoppers, beetle larvae, cutworms, and any other pest hiding in the soil. By rotating systematically, you can cover your entire half acre in about 45 to 60 days, depending on your layout. Then you start over. Each section gets worked 2 to 3 times per season. Pasture-raised eggs aren't just better tasting. They contain twice the omega-3s, 3 times the vitamin E, and 7 times the beta-carotene of store-bought eggs. That's USDA research data, not marketing hype. The yolks are deep orange, almost red. The whites stand up firm in the pan. Annual feed cost per hen runs about $35 to $50 on commercial feed. But supplement with black soldier fly larvae, kitchen scraps, and serious pasture rotation, and you'll cut that cost by 40 to 60%. Your 6 birds will cost you less than $150 a year to feed, while producing 1,500 eggs and 600 pounds of fertilizer. Now the mistakes people make. First, overstocking. More than 50 chickens per acre, and your soil starts degrading. On half an acre, 6 to 12 birds maximum. Second mistake, using chicken wire for predator protection. Raccoons rip right through it. You need half-inch hardware cloth on all openings. Third, no overhead cover on the range. Chickens are terrified of hawks. If there's no shade structure, they'll huddle by the coop and refuse to forage. Fourth, not providing grit and oyster shell free choice. Chickens need grit to grind food and calcium for strong eggshells. Fifth, letting water freeze in winter or get algae covered in summer. Clean water is non-negotiable. Change it daily. You've got 6 chickens producing eggs and fertilizer. You've got a black soldier fly bin turning waste into feed. Now we need to close the vegetable loop. On half an acre, you need 2,000 to 3,000 square feet of intensive growing space to feed a family of 4 year-round. That's roughly a 50 by 50 foot area. Sounds like a lot, but it's less than 7% of your half acre. The key is permanent raised beds. 4 feet wide, any length you want, with permanent paths between them. Never walk on the beds. Never till them. The soil structure stays intact and gets better every year. Here's the production math. A well-managed 4 by 8 foot raised bed produces 50 to 100 pounds of vegetables per season, depending on what you grow. 10 beds give you 500 to 1,000 pounds per season. Run 2 seasons, spring and fall, and you're looking at 1,000 to 2,000 pounds of vegetables per year from 320 square feet. Add in perennials like asparagus and rhubarb, and you're stacking production across time. Asparagus produces for 20 years once established. You plant it once and harvest forever. Fertility comes from your chickens. Every time you move the tractor, you're building soil. Every time you clean the coop, that bedding goes into compost. Chicken manure is 3% nitrogen, 2% phosphorus, 1.5% potassium. It's hot, so it needs composting for 60 to 90 days, but after that it's pure gold. Your 6 chickens produce enough manure annually to build 4 to 6 cubic yards of compost. That's $600 to $900 worth of fertilizer you didn't buy. Here's what you should be growing for maximum calorie and nutrition density. Potatoes, 400 to 600 pounds per 100 square feet. Sweet potatoes, 200 to 400 pounds per 100 square feet. Winter squash, 150 to 300 pounds per 100 square feet. Dry beans, 20 to 40 pounds per 100 square feet. Tomatoes, 200 to 400 pounds per 100 square feet. Greens, like kale and chard, 50 to 100 pounds per 100 square feet. Root vegetables, 100 to 200 pounds per 100 square feet. Focus on crops that store well. You're not just growing food for August. You're growing food for February. Mistakes people make with gardens. First, tilling every year. It destroys soil structure. Stop tilling. Build the beds once and leave them alone. Second, monocropping. Diversity is resilience. Grow 30 different crops, and you'll always have something producing. Third, no succession planting. Plant every 2 weeks, and you'll have continuous harvests for months. Fourth, ignoring season extension. A $50 hoop house adds 8 to 12 weeks to your growing season. Fifth, not testing your soil. A $20 soil test tells you exactly what your soil needs. You've got eggs, you've got vegetables, but you don't have complete protein independence yet. This is where meat rabbits come in. 3 rabbits, 2 does, and 1 buck. Housed in less than 15 square feet of hutch space. A single breeding doe produces about 6 litters per year, averaging 7 to 8 babies per litter. That's 42 to 48 baby rabbits annually. Each fryer rabbit reaches 5 pounds live weight in 10 to 12 weeks and yields about 3 pounds of dressed meat. 2 does equal 250 to 290 pounds of meat per year. From 15 square feet of hutch space. Rabbit meat is 22% protein, only 6% fat, and lower in cholesterol than chicken or beef. The feed conversion is unbeatable. 3 to 4 pounds of feed per 1 pound of live weight. Each fryer costs about $4 to $6 in feed to raise. But here's the piece that ties back into everything else. Rabbit manure is the only common livestock manure you can take straight from the cage and put directly onto your garden beds. No composting, no waiting. Each rabbit drops 200 to 300 pellets per day. 3 rabbits equal about 50 pounds of pure fertilizer per month. Position your rabbit hutches directly above your black soldier fly bins. Droppings fall through, larvae process them immediately, and you've created a closed loop. Rabbit manure feeds larvae. Larvae feed chickens. Chickens fertilize garden. Garden scraps feed larvae and rabbits. Nothing leaves the property. 3 rabbits cost about $300 to $450 a year to feed on pellets. But if you're growing fodder like comfrey or sprouted barley, you can cut that cost by 50% or more. The mistakes with rabbits. First, starting with Flemish Giants. Stick with New Zealand Whites or Californians. Second, breeding in summer without shade. Buck fertility drops hard above 85 degrees. Third, keeping them on the ground. Hutches need to be elevated with wire floors. Fourth, not providing constant fresh water. A nursing doe can drink a gallon per day. You've got protein. You've got vegetables. But what about fruit? Fruit trees are the ultimate self-sufficiency investment. You plant once and harvest for 20 to 50 years. A single semi-dwarf apple tree produces 100 to 300 pounds of fruit per year at maturity. On half an acre, you have room for 10 to 15 fruit trees depending on spacing. 3 to 4 apple trees with varieties that ripen at different times. 2 pear trees. 2 cherry trees. 2 peach or plum trees. 1 or 2 persimmons. Underplant your trees with perennials. Comfrey for fertilizer and rabbit fodder. Strawberries as ground cover. Berry bushes along your fence line. Blueberries, blackberries, raspberries. Each mature bush produces 10 to 20 pounds of fruit per year. All of this is perennial. Plant it once. Mulch it. Water it the first 2 years. After that, it mostly takes care of itself. A mature food forest on half an acre produces 1,000 to 2,000 pounds of fruit annually with less labor than an annual garden. Mistakes people make with fruit trees. First, planting the wrong varieties for their climate. Check your zone. Second, planting too close together. Dwarf apples need 10 to 12 feet. Semi-dwarf need 15 to 18 feet. Third, not protecting from deer. Use fencing for the first 3 to 5 years. Fourth, expecting fruit immediately. Most trees take 3 to 5 years before significant production. Fifth, not thinning fruit. Thin by hand to 1 fruit every 6 inches. Now preservation. You need a system. Canning is your foundation. A basic water bath canner costs $30 to $50. A pressure canner costs $80 to $200. A family of 4 will put up 300 to 500 jars annually. Dehydrating is second. A dehydrator costs $50 to $200. Dried food stores for years in vacuum-sealed bags. Freezing is third. A chest freezer holds 300 to 500 pounds of food. Root cellaring is fourth, and it's free. A cool basement holds potatoes, carrots, squash, and apples for months. Fermentation is fifth. Sauerkraut and kimchi preserve food while adding probiotics. Let's pull it all together. Half an acre. 6 chickens in a mobile tractor. 3 meat rabbits in elevated hutches. 1 black soldier fly bin. 2,000 square feet of garden beds. 500 square feet of perennial beds, 10 to 15 fruit trees and berry bushes, a composting system, a preservation system. Total startup cost, about $3,000 to $5,000. Annual operating cost, about $800 to $1,500. What you produce annually: 1,500 eggs, 250 to 290 pounds of rabbit meat, 1,500 to 2,500 pounds of vegetables, 1,000 to 2,000 pounds of fruit and berries. Retail value at farmers' market prices, over $18,000 to $25,000. Cost to produce it, under $1,500. The mistakes that kill systems like this. First, starting everything at once. Year 1, get chickens and the BSF bin running. Build your garden beds. Plant your fruit trees. Year 2, add rabbits. Expand the garden. Start preserving. By year 3, you're running a system that practically manages itself. Second, no records. Track everything. Third, thinking you need more space. Half an acre is enough. The limitation is never space. It's always design and management. Fourth, not building soil first. Spend your first year building compost and letting chickens work the ground. Fifth, not starting now. Every month you wait is another month you're paying someone else to feed you. 6 chickens, 3 rabbits, 1 bin of flies, a garden, an orchard, half an acre. That's not a fantasy. That's a blueprint. And thousands of families are already running versions of this system right now. The question isn't whether it works. The question is whether you're ready to stop depending on a system that doesn't care about you and start building one that does. Because the food system is fragile. It runs on cheap oil and topsoil that's disappearing. When it breaks, the people who know how to grow their own food will be fine. Everyone else won't. This isn't about prepping for some apocalypse. It's about building resilience into your daily life. It's about knowing that no matter what happens, you can feed your family. That's power. Real power. Not the kind you buy, the kind you build.